my phone that's losing a battery. All right, you're good to start. Bob, can you hear us? It should be, there it is. It's up, it's just warming up. You have to pull the thing the rest of the way down.
Was that one of them speakers where you can talk, but it's on a microphone?
It will be, yes, but it's not in yet. So you do have to use your normal mics today. Bob, can you hear us? Okay, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. That makes me
Awesome.
feel much better because it's not us. Bob, your audio is not working. Perfect. Bob's gonna call in, Dave. I don't know. Is Bob chair?
Yes,
Okay, so we
Give me
gotta wait.
just a minute.
Oh, now we can hear you, Bob.
I don't know what's going on. It keeps ticking in and out. So I'm going to call in anyway and have the phone ready as a backup. Just give me a moment here.
All right.
This happened yesterday too, and then it started and stopped. So
That's because the speaker is right behind you.
hang on.
The camera likes you, Carrie.
Okay.
It should be coming in now.
Yep, you're echoing now. Can you mute one of them?
All right, I'm going to mute one right now. Hang on. There. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, let's get the meeting started. Read and approve the posting for October 6th. Was it properly posted?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I do have a heck of a delay here, so.
You're really quiet too, Bob. If you can turn your volume up, we're not picking you up well.
How was that? Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
All right, very good. Here we go. All right, properly posted. So item number 3, read and approve the agenda for October 6th, 2023 with the public safety meeting. And if you need a moment, great. If not, I'm looking for a motion to accept that.
I'll make that motion, Richard.
And Richard, thank you. And second?
I'll second it.
Boyce, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving forward. Number 5, coroner updates. I'm sorry, number 4, read and approve the minutes for September 1st, 2023 public safety meeting. I didn't realize we hadn't done that at the last meeting. So looking for a motion for that, please.
I'll make that motion, Richard.
Sounds like Richard. Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Voice. Thank you on the second. All in favor of approving the agendas for September 1st, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, moving forward. Item number 5, coroner updates. Clay, do you have anything?
Nothing from the coroner's office this month.
Okay. Item number 6 then, if there's no coroner updates, item number 6, Circuit Court Judge updates and comments. Judge, you there?
I am here. Thank you. I'll just keep this brief. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So last time we had a lively and I think productive conversation about the needs of the circuit court. I thought it was a good discussion and having had some time to think about it and review it. I think we all appreciate the feedback that was given. And I think one of the primary takeaways from that was that those of us that are involved in the system need to create a written list, a written document as to our needs and prioritizing those and giving everybody some idea of what it would take to fix the problems and bring about the solutions that we need. So we are taking that very seriously and we are putting that together. Hopefully we'll have a draft at some point. I'd like to have that list, do that in collaboration with the Courthouse Security Committee. That committee doesn't meet until December. So we'll have to try to figure out how to do that, but we can address some of the things we talked about last time, including courtroom security, both personnel needs and some of the logistics there, just the functionality of the courtroom, including the public health concerns of the bats. We talked quite a bit about bats. I'm happy to report that is now being addressed, I believe, in the property committee. So that's great. And we did, of course, mention that we do have some CIP money in the budget that we're hopeful will be approved, and that will be for the next few years. That's something new, and we agree that's pretty exciting from our end because that's not something that's existed for the circuit court before now. We do have a criminal justice coordinating committee meeting next week. We don't have a courthouse security committee meeting until December. I think we also discussed at our last public safety meeting, this committee meeting, that in the meeting immediately following whatever committee meeting we have, that we should put it on the agenda so that we can give this committee an update as to what's going on in those other, I don't know if you call them subcommittees. And then we did talk about and sort of raise the issue last time of hoping that we can be part of the larger conversation with regard to the campus reconfiguration committee. And I'm very happy to know that there are a number of members on this committee that are also on that committee. So we hope to be able to have some more conversations with them and to do this all in a timely way so that, we don't miss that. We don't miss that opportunity. So that's about all I have to say. Any questions?
Okay. This is Bob. I do have a question. You just mentioned the Courthouse Security Committee doesn't meet until December. Is that something you want to call earlier? It is October. Would that be helpful just to call them in earlier, or is December at this point going to fit in your time frame?
We certainly could. That's a good idea, Bob. So we'll look at that and we can make that swing that. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Especially because your other committee is meeting next in November, I think you said, to expedite that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions for the judge? Any other comments? Okay, waiting on the delay, hearing none. Moving on to item number 7, circuit court updates and monthly updates and reports.
Good morning. I summarized for you guys in an email where we are at just in the matter on budget. Did everyone see that? And what questions? What's that? I will tell you what it says. It's short. The last quarter of the year is a really busy time for the court because in the coming days and weeks, in addition to the normal day-to-day operations and running the court that we do, we're building next year's jury pool. So beginning shortly, as soon as we get the 1,000 or so names from the state in the randomized way that they send those, we'll be sending out all of the jury qualification questionnaires. So about 1,000 of those go out. All of the data that comes back, we will be processing. And from that, building next year's pool so that we're ready for trials. We continue to work hard at collecting money and keeping the court running smoothly for multiple judges who are presiding in various open and pending civil and criminal matters. Civil matters are the family, paternity, traffic, ordinance, small claims, foreclosure, restraining order, large money judgments, and name change cases. And criminal is misdemeanor, felony, and criminal traffic cases. I'll note that today this morning's a great example of the multiple judges thing, and not an unusual day at all, but we have Judge Gaskell from Vernon County at 10, and Judge McDougall, I think, starts her court at 10:30 at 10. So we do the multiple courtroom things simultaneously all the time. It's just normal operations for us. It requires a lot of constant, checking. We're always on top of what's going on in all of the calendars for all the judges. As of yesterday, we have exceeded our revenue projection for this entire year by nearly $33,000. We have 3 months to go yet, and so we anticipate that number will grow substantially, and it will help offset the ever-increasing expenses that are related to the court-appointed dean and guardian ad litem attorneys that we have, which, as you know, is the largest part of our budget. As of yesterday, we had spent 82% of our budget. If it weren't for the attorney fees, we actually would be pacing under budget. So my hope is that we end this year like we did last year, and that we have overages and collections that exceed the overages in expenditures. That is our aim. That's what we're working hard for. So I now will answer the questions that you guys have. Certainly you have
Okay.
some.
Thank you. So my first question is, you're running 2 courts, and that's a lot of manpower. Is part of this because Judge McDougall, you still have to recuse yourselves on some things, or because you're going out to other locations to help that out? Is this something that we look at continuing over the next 6 months, year, or this is permanent? What kind of, is there any projection on that, thoughts on how that looks?
Yeah, I think some of these cases are just old cases that are just continuing on. We don't have a lot of cases yet that are still going out the door, but you're never going to get away from people substituting the judge. You're never going to get away from, from time to time having these conflicts. And that's what we're seeing. So yeah, I would say it's certainly less than when I first started, but it's just, it's never going to end, I guess. But no, so there's nothing new about it. And I would say over time, we'll probably see a little less of that, but it's still, even for one judge to come in and do one case, because these cases that go on and on, they tend to be the cases that are heavily litigated. They're headed toward trial. There's multiple hearings. So it's not like a one and done because they've been lingering on. That means there's a reason they're lingering on. And so these judges come in to take care of these cases that have been pending forever. And they tend to be here for a long time when they're here. I don't know if that really answered your question, but.
Thank you. So I guess in reference
Jen and I would
to what
like to add
Stacy-
something to that.
Okay.
Jen.
So maybe this is jumping in a little bit on the probate update, but just on the judges thing, I just wanted to comment, I felt like this was an appropriate time, that a lot of cases are coming to Judge McDougall. Yesterday, I noted that Judge McDougall has cases in Adams County, Juneau, Crawford, Vernon, Iowa, La Crosse, and Grant. So yes, we are going to have judges coming into our courtroom. That's a permanent thing. Just having been here through Judge Sharp and now Judge McDougall, I do feel like that is not going to go away. I am going to, I just wanted to reiterate that we have 2 new judges, one in Vernon County and one in Grant County. And Judge McDougall is getting a lot of out of county, I would say an extraordinary amount, considering what's been done in the past. So I just wanted you to be aware there's going to be more travel, especially in the immediate future. There's going to be more judges here, and Judge McDougall will be handling more out-of-county cases. So
That travel and travel costs does not affect Richland. That's,
I did not hear, what was that comment?
that, just so you know, though, that travel and considerations, that doesn't affect the county's budget. When a judge travels, so does their court reporter. Those are state employees. But all of the scheduling for all of those out-of-county matters does impact the judge's office here. So her staff here coordinates her out-of-county assignments, whereas the clerk of court's office here coordinates and works the courtrooms for Judge McDougall and the judges that are coming in, because we do the Richland County cases. So judges travel on all sorts of counties cases. Clerks work on all county cases assigned by various judges. So it's a lot of moving pieces both ways, but I'll just say, when we have cases in the county that are heard by other judges, to be clear, that's not because your judge does anything wrong. Judge Sharp had plenty of cases that he could not preside in or was substitute in. And I used to report the numbers every month. I would suspect the numbers are very similar now. We have the same amount of judges that are coming in on our cases, probably the same amount of caseload. I've worked for 3 judges with 3 judges. Judge Lineweber had been in private practice in between being the DA for Richland County. So those were buffer years. So he didn't, when he took the bench, he did not automatically have cases that he couldn't hear because he had been prosecuting them. Whereas Judge Sharp had been a district attorney for 25 years. So he did. Judge McDougall was the head of the public defender's office for many years. So of course, she has cases that she cannot do. We still have some of the Judge Sharp cases that are going, and as Judge McDougall relayed, often they're litigious and they're often family cases. So they may be closed as far as a closed status if you look them up on Circuit Court Access, but they're open in terms of the children are under 18 and the parents are arguing over custody and placement and other issues. And so not only are they ones where other judges are on, they might also be the ones that are driving up some of the guardian ad litem expense, which we do recoup from the parties. But these are all normal things that happen within the courts. We just try to give you guys some insight into it so we can explain and sometimes, I guess, justify and remind that is why we need the amount of people that we do and what the people are doing. I recently helped out the Iowa County Clerk of Court because of a medical emergency that occurred over there at the same time as a planned medical issue in their staff. And so they did not have enough people to cover. I was asked by the district court if I could help. And that clerk is one who had helped in, when I had had my stem cell transplant. And so I'm also her mentor. When I went over there, they had the same situation. One of the courtrooms I clerked was for a visiting judge. So they didn't have enough staff to cover the amount. They had the same issues as we have. But while I was over there, I did get to see what they do with their courtroom security. And one of the things that Judge McDougall has talked about before is a kiosk. And that is an excellent thing if for security to be able to see that. And the officers over there mentioned that they've been in contact, that they've talked to Richland County before and stuff, but to see like a old remodeled courthouse working, not saying that ours is to the point that it could be remodeled and work, but to see how security works in their court, not that far away, gives you an idea of what we talk about, some of the things that we aim for. So that's what yes, and so when I was over there, one of the cases that I clerked was a man that was sentenced to prison for after he had brought brass knuckles into the Iowa County Courthouse with the intent to use them. So he went to prison he had like a 3.5-year sentence with like a 1.5 year initial confinement. He also had quite a history of other bad acts. But they had found the brass knuckles coming in because they had gotten word of a threat and had set up like a temporary detecting station. And over like 30 days, they confiscated all sorts of knives and all sorts of weapons like what he had. They don't have a permanent station. They wish that they did. But when they have high profile trials coming up, they have a lot of high profile trials coming up. They set up this temporary security screening for people to go through. So, I mean, you don't have to go far to get ideas and to see things actually in action. And that's the world that we're in.
Right. So I asked the question because I'd like to see that in the report that you guys are putting together as to that, the number of judges that are there and the staff. I think that would be a good perspective for everyone to see how often that happens and what that takes. I'm not exactly sure how to put that into a document, but I think that'd be really important to see so we can all see a better idea of the volume that's going through.
So tell me exactly what stats you want in the reports, because I will be honest, I've scaled down the detail of my reports, A, due to time, and 2, due to the fact that my reports are usually just summarized in the minutes by that I was here and gave a report. So with all that we have going on, I prioritize my time. So if this is important, I want to know which ones, please.
Right, and I'm in the report that you're coming together with on the courthouse security, working with Judge McDougall in that document. That's what I think would be important for the county members to see what kind of volume is going on. I don't think this is a monthly thing. I think this is something that would be included with the courthouse security and the report you're putting together, the needs of the courthouse and the court rooms. And I think that would be a good piece to have into that mix, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be great. Thank you. Other questions on the clerk of court update? Hearing none, again on a delay, I would move on to item number 8, probate department.
So I don't have a lot more to add. I just want to reiterate that I'm extremely pleased that we still have capital improvements in the budget at this time. And again, I wanted to restate that we are hopeful that those will be approved for 2024. Like the judge said, we've never had that before, where we've had capital improvement money set aside to make improvements. So I just wanted to say how pleased and excited to have some money set aside for that purpose, and truly do hope that that is approved with the budget. And feel like the budget process has been much better this year. So just wanted to restate that. And I've already touched on some of the things I was going to. We've been just really plodding along, going through the cases, and just wanted to restate, you know, the judge does have well over, I think the last count I took, the judge had 138 out-of-county cases. So she's not only taking care of Richland County cases, but a lot of out-of-county cases. Most of that is in person, some of it is by Zoom, but she's going to Vernon County for full days. She's going to Iowa County for full days. She has jury trials coming up that are out of county. So I just wanted to restate all of the work that's being done both for Richland County and other counties. She's also going to be going up to Adams County in person and Juneau County. So just to kind of give you a taste of what goes on and what it takes to get through these cases. And really that's, I think as far as the budget, we are pretty much on track as far as our attorney fees right now. The attorneys have been better at submitting their bills more timely, but I still feel like a lot of the bills come in towards the end of the year on some of the cases. So my budget looks on track right now. No guarantees on what that will look like as of December 31st or January 31st, but it looks good right now.
Excellent, thank you. Questions or comments for the probate department? Hearing none, thank you very much. Moving on to district attorney updates. DA Harper there?
Yep, I'm here. So I passed out my budget sheet that gives the expenditure guidelines, the information that we got from Tammy that has our expenditures up through the end of September. We are at, I believe it's 59% for the year. Excuse me, 59% for the year. And of course, at the end of September, we're at 75% of our budget used. So we're well below budget for a whole bunch of things. On the report, it is that there are a number of things that look like they're way over budget, and they are. But if you look at the numbers, they're the aggregate numbers are not very much. It's like, you know, for transcripts, which we had $1,000 or so for transcripts. We have a litigious new set of defense attorneys. We're ordering a lot more transcripts. So for that line, we're at 81%. But that still means we have $75 left to spend. So they're not large numbers. It's just a percentage. Looks like we're far exceeding our percentage for the year. We are exceeding it, but it's small numbers. So that's all I can tell you about the budget.
Any other updates that you have for this committee
No.
at this point?
Nope, the office is running really well. I mean, this is a meeting that talks about budget, administrative things like that. The office is running really well. We're updating a bunch of our policies right now with our supervisor. We have our new legal secretary, is not so new anymore. So for training, which has been extensive, she's starting to have the ability to handle her own tasks, which frees up time for our victim witness coordinator. So we've been able to hand off a lot of her, the victim witness coordinator's tasks, which were previously her tasks, to the new legal secretary. So that's freeing up some additional time so we can go back and work on our policy matters, which are significant and various.
Okay, it's good to hear things are running smoothly, and it sounds like the staff coming together. So excellent.
They are.
Questions?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. on the
Yeah,
slide here. Go ahead.
it's been a long haul, but I think at this point, we've got all the pieces together, so we can move forward in a way that we were hoping to move forward 18 months ago, but I think we finally got it on track.
Very good. Any other questions for the district attorney? Comments or questions for TA Harper? Hearing none, moving on to item number 10, emergency management. Darren?
Morning. Can you hear me? Hopefully.
Yes, weak, but I can hear you.
So we held our integrated preparedness planning workshop, 2 of those last week. We also received some feedback from or other entities. The first one was attended fairly well. Second one, there was a county board member, county administrator, a couple of people there. So we're moving forward with that. The integrated preparedness plan will really be kind of like the roadmap for future training, and not just department like fire, EMS, law enforcement, but more entities, public, schools, business. There's 5 priorities that are listed in there. And the goal for that is that will, again, as I said, become a roadmap, but it'll also become the piece that helps us all be accountable to what that looks like. So if it's a full-scale exercise in the courtroom that we want to do, there'll be a timetable laid out for that, regardless who the players are today versus a year from now. It'll help everybody that's been involved kind of stay on course, get those trainings, things like that brought here. So I will go through real quick, just a couple of the top priorities. The top priority that came through was active threat. So we'll work towards integrating exercises here for the courthouse. Talking to Sheriff Porter, Chief Jones, they'll continue to offer their CRACE training for businesses, for schools, substantive training, that kind of stuff. For the business sector and schools, will be that providing, how to do a continued operations plan. We're going to offer some, opportunities for the public to learn how to be prepared for 72 hours. Take care of yourself for 72 hours. That helps us all. And then EOC operations, and then last, public information, because that seems to be a big piece, not just in government, but in the private sector too. So you can do a really good response, but if you get people that are speaking on behalf of the entities that are dealing with the emergency, they don't have all the facts, that could really skew everything, and then before you know it, you're battling fiction instead of promoting truth. So hopefully that'll be we'll be able to get some classes here with some folks that teach that on a regular basis. But I was overall pretty pleased with the responses that we got. A lot of good ideas. There are many initiatives, so we're going to categorize all of those and then put them in the plan as well. Spot that I call the parking lot, and that way, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, as we start achieving some of these other goals, we can start looking at those. Where do they fall in as far as a priority? So I hope for that document, that regardless of who's sitting in this chair, who might be the sheriff, that document can continue to plan to prepare the solution. Budget-wise, I apologize, I did not put any sheets in there, but last review, we were on track to be within both LEPC and emergency management. Questions?
Questions for Darren. Darren, my first question is, you're putting this document together. Where is this document housed? Where is it accessible, and to whom? Is there data in there that we want to be cautious of getting out, and how that's handled? I'm not sure how that whole picture looks.
Yeah, good question. So the document will be available to anybody that's employed in Turner County on the server. I think we're going to create a folder. I think the intention of Administrator Pesh, so that we could not only put the integrated preparedness plan in there, but the county's emergency response plan in there, and then all departments, whether you have a direct role in a response or just, would need the information, it would be in there for everybody to have access to. Right now, it's only in draft form on the G Drive, which is a server for emergency management. We're not going to publish it out to the public. There'll be pieces of it that we will do, maybe like a flyer, maybe like something on the website about preparedness and planning, but that plan isn't going to necessarily be shared to the public, if that makes any sense. But it will be shared internally with all county partners.
Will that somehow be shared with the county partners that are not on the county system?
Yeah, it could be given to you somehow in a different format, be stored where whatever server it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want it as reference. Because if we're building an exercise, contractors brought in to do that.
Right.
All the partners kind of want to have a copy of that. So you'd be given that copy, but then there'll be a repository.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Darren. Other questions for emergency management? Hearing none. Thank you, Darren, and look forward to looking at that document further as it gets developed. Moving on to item number 11, PSAP and GIS grants monthly update. I'm not sure who's going to pick that one up.
I'll go ahead with it. So we're going into the next reporting period, so I'll give the next report to the Office of Emergency Communications. I think it's the end of this month. On the 911 grant that we received, I think equipment's been ordered, training is ongoing with the dispatchers. And the group that's been working on that, it's been really, really good to work with them. Everybody's on the same page, I believe. If they're not, please let me know, but it seems like we're all on the same page. The fiscal year 23 GIS grant, there's been some things with that one that we've had to adjust and reconsider on the fiscal 23 one. We did submit for both PSAP and GIS for fiscal year 24. We've had some correspondence with them. They had some questions on the application or they wanted some clarification. So I anticipate they have received that. I anticipate we'll hear hopefully before the end of the month if we've been awarded those two grants. So yeah, questions on that?
Thank you. So I was asked to do a presentation at Wisconsin Counties Association reference these projects, and probably the two takeaways are the next grant, not the current run, this grant round that's coming, but the one coming out next year. It looks like we'll have almost 3 times the funding for both the GIS and additional funding that for the PSAP, then additional funding for the GIS piece of it. And we're encouraging counties, PSAPs to start that planning process now to see what those needs are, because the extra funding is going to be there. And those counties doing their due diligence now and planning what to do in the future, and having that 5-year plan would be very beneficial to them. So thank you for following up and doing this.
Yeah, I just add to that if I may. If we're going to seek another round, I think that whoever that team is that looks at that would probably want to do that same thing locally, so that we're not caught with a situation of, well, the grant will take care of it, the grant will take care of it. Now there's no grant money and now there's a hole. So getting those players to the table and be looking at how can we leverage those dollars to get the most bang for our buck without getting in that rut of, well, the grant's been paid, the grant's been paid. Because I think on the 911 grant, that will probably be continuous for an extended period of time because they have a funding source. The GIS one, and I know you're more in the loop on that than I am, Bob, but I'm just concerned that in another, 2-3 years, the state says, okay, we've given locals all this money to get you up speed. And, if we're not thinking about in that same mindset, we could get ourselves in some trouble. So Just putting that out there.
I think it's a good comment to put out there. I think it's always wise for counties to look at the what ifs, and I think that's a good perspective to have. But yeah, we're certainly hoping that PSAP funding continues. I don't see why it wouldn't. Of course, the legislature can change anything they want, can't they? So that would be the question from there. Other comments on the PSAP GIS grants or updates? Hearing none, moving on to item number 12, approve monthly invoices and other sheriff's departments reports. Sheriff Porter.
Yes, just a comment on the budget. It looks like we're running at about 70% on the year. One, again, I want to say an outlier is our sanctions. We over budgeted revenue for that. It's not going to meet that. I've been pretty open about that the last meetings. Monthly bills. Does anybody have any questions about the bills?
I do
All
not.
right.
Anybody else questions on the bills? Okay.
All right, moving on to the monthly report. Vouchers for the month were at $47,640.77. 54 bookings on the month. Average number of inmates housed 32, down slightly, which is a good thing. Monthly complaints is 453, which is quite a bit up from 278 the month before. We're doing things a little bit differently. So I made a change. We're trying to track staff time a little bit better, trying to account for what we're doing a little bit better. So we're making more complaints. There are a lot of things we did that we didn't track. One of them is the UAs we do for treatment court. We didn't track what we did. I mean, treatment court was aware of how many UAs we're doing because they're the ones setting them up, but we weren't tracking how much staff time involved in that or dedicating to that. Another thing was paper service. Have always tracked paper service separately for civil process. But we were never tracking the staff time we put into that. And still, I would say we're probably not 100% accurately tracking it because we probably are tracking each attempt, but we're not creating a CAD for each attempt. We're creating a CAD, I believe, when it was actually served. Oh, every attempt to be. So we are accurately tracking our time for that. But little things like that, we're trying to better account for what everybody's doing. So it's created a little bit more work for the deputies, but I think in the long run, we'll have a better picture of what everybody's doing, and that was my goal in making that change. So that's why there's a huge spike in monthly complaints. Traffic citations issued, 77. Traffic warnings issued, 3. Civil process papers served were up quite a bit, 28. And 8 transports for the month. Average number on electronic monitoring is 4. Dispatch activity, we had 752 calls for service, 101 calls for EMS, and 134 calls for the police department. Additionally, we are struggling, like a lot of law enforcement agencies are, we're struggling to find staff. We just had a round of interviews not that long ago. At this time, we have not hired anybody from that round. We offered a part-time position to a candidate. She accepted and then declined right after we were wrapping up the background investigation. So, just to make everybody aware, especially female candidates, we're struggling. We can't find anybody to come work here. So, yeah. Good question. The people that we have here, I think for the most part, everybody's pretty happy that's here. We have, just that occasional person who leaves that has a life-changing thing. They want to move elsewhere or want to seek a new career. But the funny thing is, a lot of them that leave want to continue working here part-time. Yeah, well, I think if we didn't have people leaving, we wouldn't need to hire anybody. Yeah. I'm not sure why, I know the enrollment as far as criminal justice. The enrollments in the academies are down. I think just nationally, the law enforcement has been under so much scrutiny, been attacked so much that people aren't flocking to the career anymore.
I would also say that probably part of the issue is that they move to other agencies, that they have to do one job instead of two jobs in a dispatch jail. A little bit better, and they have better facilities, newer facilities.
Any questions?
Other questions for the sheriff. So first, my first topic I want to bring up is under the monthly bills and invoices. We need to approve those, I believe, yet. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the sheriff's department's bills and monthly invoices for payments.
I'll make a motion. Spark.
Voice, and a second, please.
Okay, Severson, second.
All right, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that's taken care of then. The second question I had, Sheriff, you're tracking more things, and you mentioned the deputies. It's more work for the deputies. Is this also more work for the telecommunicators, the dispatchers? Are they entering the data, or is this something the officers are able to do mobilely for their extra tracking?
It is extra work for dispatch. So they're obviously they're creating more CADs, so there's that right off the bat. They also, if time allows, they enter data. Let's say like they'll enter person information, or maybe they'll clear out the call with a short form. But it's also, we've made it, and this was done a while back, it's not dispatch's responsibility to get that information into the CAD. It ultimately falls onto the deputy to do that. So, but I think a lot of times, if dispatch, if they have the time, they enter that person information, they clear the call if they can. But it's not a consistent thing.
Sounds like a joint effort working together.
Yes. Yep.
All right, other questions for the sheriff under item number 12, monthly invoices or sheriff's reports? Hearing none, moving on to item 13, approval to get squad bids. Sheriff?
Yes. So it's that time of year, maybe a little bit past that time of year, but looking to solicit for bids for squads for 2024. The last time I looked, we were budgeting for 3 squads in capital improvement. I plan on getting 2. So likely 1 admin vehicle, if not 2. We haven't completely decided that yet, but I have been looking at pricing options and stuff like that for admin versus patrol vehicles.
Any idea what the costs are? I know you're looking for the approval to get bids. Have you seen what the numbers are? Have you got any input from other agencies?
I've got an idea on numbers. The numbers that I have received I don't believe they have fleet incentives in them yet. So I'm looking at not quite retail numbers, but they aren't usually what the final bids come in at. They're a little higher than usually what final bids come in at.
Okay.
So I've been
All right,
looking
so
at.
we are looking for.
I was going to say, I've been looking at pickups and Durangos. Ford is closed for bids again, and they're not reopening. They're apparently going to reopen for 2025 in the first quarter of 24, but they're currently not open for ordering for 2024.
All right, we are looking for approval to get squad bids. So I'm looking for a motion on that.
This is Dave. I'll make the motion.
All right,
Can we
Dave,
see
thank
this
you.
in a
Looking for a second. Thank you very much for the second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, Sheriff, go ahead, get those bids going. I'll be curious to see what the numbers come in as.
Thank you.
Item number 14, discussion on alarm ordinance.
All right, I will let Aaron take this. This has been his baby.
So at the deputy conference we had, there was a lot of talk of obviously ways of bringing a little extra revenue and, accounting for a lot of our officer time. And a couple agencies had a county ordinance for alarms. So I actually got a ordinance from Maricopa County and did some changing. I think all of you should have the ordinance in the file to review. Pretty much it just states that if you are gonna have an alarm in your personal house, there's a annual permit fee of $50 and a business fee $100. I don't know exactly the numbers, but I try to get as best as I could. Last year, we had approximately 139 alarm calls in the county. And with the alarm calls, 54 were city, 85 were county. We short formed approximately 40 of those. So there's quite a bit of time being stuck into responding to alarms, a lot of false alarms. A lot of places for a while they were going to, once a week, twice a week. And I think if we create this ordinance, it would help offset the time that we're spending and also keep these homeowners and businesses a little bit more accountable for making sure that their alarms are, working properly. Any questions on the alarm ordinance, or did everyone had a chance to look at the ordinance?
This is Bob. So I have not had a chance. I had some connection problems getting to some of my documents. I will look at that further. So does this ordinance just cover alarms that come directly into the sheriff's department, or any alarm? I know some alarms are hosted by an alarm company that is filtering and monitoring and then contacting the local PSAP.
So anyone that's going to have an alarm that can come to us either by a alarm company or whatever, they have to get a permit. If they don't get a permit, I'm pretty sure it says in here, they found without permit the first time they get a warning. If we get an alarm call, we respond there, then they get cited. There's fees for forfeitures for not having an alarm, or if there were several false alarms, if it's four or more false alarms in a 12-month period, result in a forfeiture. And I was saying they think that happens, that forfeiture goes up in more.
So any idea how many alarms we have in the county at this point?
I know I started to look for this year alone from, I think it's July 31st until yesterday or day before. We had 38 different addresses where alarms came in, just in that period of time. There were several repeats in there too, but we had 38 different places that we went to for alarms. I have no idea how many there's actually overall. And I know the sheriff has talked to Chief Jones about having the city jump in with this same ordinance, so it's countywide and not just the outside non-emergency center residents.
How does this work? I know there's been a rash of Apple Watch calls into 911 when people fall or the devices are just dropped. Are Apple Watches, I guess, again, not reading the ordinance yet, I'm curious how some of those future devices would be affected by this.
Like your phone, if you call 911, or if your Apple Watch does 911, that's not included with this ordinance. To be actually have a alarm system inside a residence or a business that contacts us.
Got it. Okay.
This is like ADT or whatever.
The ordinance process is going to have to go through county board for approval, through rules and then through county board. Would that be accurate, I believe?
Just against.
Okay. I guess I personally would like to take time to look at this. Is this something that you feel needs to be addressed immediately, or something we can take the time to look at and discuss more next month?
I just think it probably should. Is it still working? Can you still hear me, Bob?
What's that? Say it again.
Apparently my mic had died, so.
Okay.
We were hoping to try to get this like presented to everybody, so there's a time period that they could see this ordinance coming, and that way we could maybe, put it in place at the beginning of the year. So we figure if we get through this month, it give, businesses and homeowners, a couple months to, hey, notice is coming. We should, take whatever actions needed to make our alarms work properly, so we're not getting cited. But if you guys think that you need more time to review it, I'm sure we could do whatever we need to do.
Has this been passed through Port Council?
Yes.
Have they looked at it?
Seen it.
Okay. Committee, what are your thoughts? I guess at this point, I'd like time to review it a little better. I did not get a chance to at this point, but I'm looking for the committee's input.
I'd like to have some time to think about it a little bit too myself. Come
Okay.
up with some questions.
Okay. So I would like to then add this onto next month's agenda, please, and we can have a better review of it. And I guess at that point, I'll probably be contacting either the sheriff, the chief deputy, and get some questions answered ahead of time before that meeting, if that works for you.
What are the assemblies in Paren 2?
What was your question?
Right at the, where he's got his, kind of like the ordinance, it says Paren 2 assemblies and 3 direct sellers assemblies. I was wondering what the 3,000, 9,000 people, $500 and all that, but Aaron said that that was going to be eliminated.
So I guess, Sheriff, if you want to go through the parts that you feel that need to be eliminated and give us the draft that you want us to look at. So it sounds like there's some changes to be happening to this yet.
Yes, we will do that.
All right. I think that'd be better to have your clean document, and then we can make it easier to review that. Other questions on the discussion of an alarm ordinance? I guess the next meeting, if we could put down discussion and possible action, would be good. All right, hearing none, discussion on jail inspection, item number 15.
Yeah, so this is an item that Melissa's wanted on, I think, for a couple of meetings now, and I don't know if anybody has the inspection report in front of them. I do have it in front of me currently, and what I think the point was, what she wanted us to discuss was the action items in the report, what has been done and what hasn't been done. So I can go through that if we'd like, and so things that have been done. So the showers were repaired. That was actually the end of 22. The grates, the HVAC grates that were not suicide prevention have been replaced. They are now suicide prevention grates. Intercoms have not been addressed as same as the camera system that is coming with the new jail access control stuff. So it's on its way. Just haven't completed that project yet. Actually, an update on that, the Administrator Pesh did sign the contract this week for that work to start. So, so we are moving forward. It's taking time.
Pending.
The corrections grade fixtures, furniture, I guess I should say. That was one thing that was noted. The attorney room has just an old wood table in it and like plastic chairs. We have not replaced those yet, but we are looking into the cost of corrections grade furniture for those rooms. The bracket in the booking area that was mentioned has been removed. One of the notes was the control center dispatch door, looking into if something can be changed in that. I think safety wise, kind of is what it is for us. One of the issues being with that is that you have to hold the button down until the door goes all the way closed, and you have to hold it down all the way for it to open. And that's a safety measure, is if somebody tries to walk through that door, if it just closes, we can't stop it from closing on somebody. Or we just shouldn't have somebody in there, we need it to close on them. Well, we need it to close on them. And if an inmate's trying to get in, we have stepped up to where if inmates are out, that door is to be closed. That was kind of the big issue. The jail inspector wants it closed all the time. Our compromise middle ground is that it is closed when they're in. But I think that pretty well covers all the recommendations from that document. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there other items on that, other than the cameras, intercom, and the furniture for the attorney's room that are being targeted, or is that complete his list for that inspection?
So this actually isn't the jail inspector's report. This is the committee's jail inspection. One of the other things, I guess I can go through a little bit more, security practices at key control. Aaron had, following the last inspection, went through and we've actually color coded our different key sets. And there is a lockbox and a log for logging in and out keys at the beginning and end of your shift. That's one thing that we have added. Fire inspection, I believe, has been done since this last inspection. Classification, it's an area where we're going to continually get dinged because we don't have the space to adequately separate people based on classification. We just actually had our state jail inspection this week. That was one of the things he said, is you're mixing your classifications. And he says that every time he comes because we don't have enough space to separate people by classification.
What are classifications?
So inmates are, how do I want to say it, graded based on security risk, stuff like that. So they're given grade 1 through 6, 1 through 7, 1 through 8, where based on their security risk, whether they're high security or minimum security. And they're supposed to be housed accordingly. So you house them by, what we should be doing is, we are always doing is male and female separate, but then like 1 should be with 1s, 2 should be with 2s, 3 should, or 1 through 3 should be together, 4 through, we're not doing our classifications. We try to keep them as close to same.
So you keep like an 8 with a 1. What you're saying?
Not that we can usually avoid to some degree, but like where you're intermixing, like if you were to break it into 3 groups, right? We're intermixing those 3 groups. Just 8s and 1s, probably not, because you're dealing with like a Huber inmate versus a maximum security inmate, and we don't try to intermix those.
Yeah.
But those middle ones get kind of housed together. Yeah, your 3s and 6s get put together. And, yeah.
Okay, other discussion, other questions on the jail inspection from the committee or anyone else? Hearing none, moving on to item number 16, or radio tower project updates. Where are we?
We are. Sorry about that. We are, I guess what I want to say.
We have a written update. It's in the packet from the Finance and Personnel Committee, and it will be going before the full board, or we'll send it out to the full board in their board packet for the 24th.
Okay, thank you. All right. Administrator Pesh just
Thank you,
reminded me, we have a written report on the progress of the project, as well as a financial report on the project that was presented to finance on Tuesday. And that will be going to all board supervisors. So, but we are, I would say, slowly moving forward. We have most of our sites locked in. There are a few sites where I'm working on some alternates, some Plan B sites that have been reaching out, communicating with different landowners, trying to get a lease locked in, or a possible lease locked in case we need a backup plan for a site. So we're surveying sites that we know are locked in, and we're just trying to get some buffer area in sites that are a little, whether it might be one of our sites, we're expecting considerable civil costs, so we're looking at alternates for that, so that we don't have to build a really expensive road to the top of a bridge up a steep hill. So
Don't do it.
yeah, we're looking at alternatives. So, but yeah, we're moving forward.
So greenfield sites, do we have an idea what we are at with those yet? Has that been settled up?
Greenfield sites have, I think we went back one now because we're looking at an existing US Cellular site that we weren't looking at prior to. So Boaz, instead of a greenfield site now, is we're looking at a US Cellular site. We've gotten more favorable terms on that tower.
With US Cellular?
Yeah. So that was a surprise, a welcome surprise. Yeah.
Good to hear. All right. Other discussions on the radio tower project? Moving on to mapping radio system and squad updates. I think we've kind of covered those. Is there anything else on those?
Yes, two squads. The squads that have been sitting out in the lot here for a few months are going in the 16th for upfitting, and then hopefully we'll have them back shortly to put into service. So those two Durangos that are sitting in the corner of the parking lot look like they're functional squad cars. They are not, but they will be by the end of the month.
And who's doing that work? Is that GenCom again?
Yes, General Communications. I did ask a couple other vendors for some pricing. Everybody was right in the same ballpark as GenCom, and honestly, with our history with GenCom and the fact that if it's a radio issue, it's going to have to go back to them anyway, we had opted just to stay with GenCom.
Okay. Other questions under item number 17, mapping radio systems updates? Anything from the committee? Hearing none, moving on to item 18, future agenda items. Other than what we've talked about, anything from the committee? Hearing none, moving on to item number 19, adjournment. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Can you receive similar for adjournment?
All right, looking for a second. Anybody?
I'll second. Dave Turk.
All right, thank you, Dave. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. And I thank you for letting me do this via Zoom. I had a family situation come up and currently in Ohio. So thank you all very much and have a Safe week. Bye.